Hey, what's up, Musers? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And in honor of the new Captain America movie coming out May 6th, I've decided to do a video series on the Avengers characters. Now, I'm going to be using the characters to create websites and animate the characters using the widgets from museforyoushop.com. Now, I'm in no way affiliated with Marvel or the Marvel team, but I just thought this would be a fun and interesting way to showcase the widgets found at museforyoushop.com. So in this example, the first character I'll be using or I'll be working with is Ant-Man. I really liked that movie and I thought it was really well done. So here I have Ant-Man, and I'm going to be using a few widgets. I'm going to be using the parallax.js widget, the Muse Motion 2 widget, the image cursor widget, and the shake widget, and the font smoother widget here. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate this website or preview this website. So here I'm using the parallax.js widget, and if I click refresh, we have Ant-Man growing just like that, and then we can move him around with the parallax.js widget. And when he grows, that's using the Muse Motion 2 widget, and here we can make him go small, and this reverses the animation, so we go small, and then we can make him go big again there. And we're also using the particles.js widget to animate these ants here in the background. So I didn't mention that in the beginning, but we are going to be using the particles.js widget. So we can make him go small, just like that, and we can make him go big, just like that. So it's a lot of fun. I actually had a lot of fun creating this website. So to get access to all these widgets, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and then here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all the widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to use PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. If you'd like to purchase the widgets individually, you can click on the widget, and then here you can click add to cart to purchase individually. Or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Okay, and here are all the widgets: Muse Motion 2, parallax.js, we have the particles.js widget, and a few others. The font smoother is down here. Okay, yeah, and here's the font smoother. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the top here, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with building this website and this animation. So I've actually got the image for Ant-Man. I got this from marvelallegiance.wikia.com, and I'll leave a link to it in the description area below. But I actually just went into Google and typed in Ant-Man artwork, and this one came up, and I thought this one was really great, so I worked with this one. So let me minimize this here in the background. So the first thing I did, I'm using 5 different Ant-Man images. So I'm going to right click and open this image with Adobe Photoshop. Okay, and I have 5 different blurred variations of Ant-Man. So we have this image here. So I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to go to blur and Gaussian blur, and then I have a blur. Let me zoom out here. I blurred them at 10 pixels. So there's the first blurry one, and that's going to be the smallest one. It's going to be the blurriest one, and I'll click OK. Then I'll go to File, Export, Save for Web, and I'll make sure that the file format is at PNG 24 and that the transparency is checked, and then I'll click Save. And I'll just go into that folder, and I'll call this Muse for You, image 1, Ant-Man, and I'll click Save, just like that. And then here I'll go back to Edit. I'll go to Edit, step backward so that it takes off the blur. I'll go back to Filter, Blur. I'll go to Gaussian Blur, and then I'll do a blur of 7. And then I'll click OK. Same thing, File, Export, Save for Web. And we got the PNG 24 transparency. Click Save, and I'll save this as the second image. So I'll say Muse for You image 2 Ant-Man, and then I'll go to Edit, step backward, Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and here I'll say 5, and I'll click OK. Go to File, Export, Save for Web, and PNG 24 transparency. Click Save, and we'll say image 3. And I just like the blur effect as it's animating. It looks really nice. So I'll go to Filter, I'll go to Edit, step backward, I'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'll say 3. And zoom out a little bit there, and I'll click OK. I'll go to File, Export, Save for Web, and PNG 24 and transparency, and I'll click Save, and then I'll say 4 here for the image. Okay. So there we have all the images. If I go to my Finder, we have the 5 different images, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes from blurry to non-blurry. So here I'll go into my Adobe Muse website, I'll go to File, New Site, and I'll click OK right there. I'll double click on the home page, and I'll go into my Finder window, and here I'll just select all of the, oops, I hit the space bar. I'll select all of the images. I'll click, hold, and drag, and place onto my Adobe Muse website, just like that. All right, so now they're really big, so what I want to do is select all of them, and the largest Ant-Man that I want is 300 pixels in width. So I'll say 300 pixels, I'll select them all, and in the width window up here in the upper toolbar, I'll say 300, and I'll hit enter. Okay, and it makes all of these Ant-Man, or yeah, Ant-Man images. It makes them all 300 pixels wide and 550 pixels in height. Okay, since the first Ant-Man image is 300 pixels in width and 500 pixels high, I'm going to divide 300 by 5, which is 60, and then just reduce each Ant-Man by 60 pixels in width. So here I'm just gonna make sure that I have the correct blurry ones. So here we go. This one's less blurry, and okay, there we go. Just like that. So it goes from the most blurry to the least blurry. So I'll go to this this one here, this fourth one, and I'll say 240 for the size or for the width. Then for this one, I'll say 180. Then for this one, I'll say 120. And then for this one, I'll say 60. All right, so here they grow in width in increments of 60. And then I'll just line them up just like this. Make them look really cool. And just like that. I always really like that effect in the Ant-Man movie where he's getting like bigger to smaller. It's really fun. So there we have Ant-Man. We have the 5 different Ant-Man images. So now I'm going to assign a layer to all of these elements here. So I'll go to the first one, the first Ant-Man, and or actually I'll bring in the parallax.js widget so you can see kind of what I'm working with. So I'll type in parallax.js, and I'll bring in the parallax.js widget just like that. And here, or let me undo that. And here we can see that we have the graphic style names, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, and layer 5. So I'm going to assign these graphic style names to these elements. So I'll select the first one, and I'll go to graphic styles. If you don't see the graphic styles panel, you can go to window and click on graphic styles. So I'll click on this element here. I'll click on the create a new graphic style by clicking this little icon here that looks like a piece of paper with a folded corner on the lower left. I'll click there, it creates a new graphic style called style. I'll double click, and I'll call this layer 1. And then I'll click on the second one, I'll double click, I'll call this layer 2. The third one, double click, or sorry, the third one I'll click, create a new graphic style, and then call this layer 3. The fourth one I'll click, create a new graphic style, I'll call this layer 4. The fifth one I'll click, create a new graphic style, and I'll call this layer 5. Alright, so all of these elements have layer 1 through 5 applied to them. And then for the parallax.js widget, what we need to do is create a rectangle over all of these elements, set the rectangle to 100% width, right click on the rectangle, arrange, and send all the way to the back, and then assign this graphic style name to this rectangle called scene1. Alright, because that's the scene graphic style for the parallax.js widget. Because if we go into the widget, we have a scene graphic style name and then the layer graphic style names. We don't have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but that's okay. It's just not going to register that there's any elements with those layer names. All right, so if we go and preview this in the browser, if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and it's connecting or previewing, we see we have the movement. It doesn't move exactly how I would like yet. And that's because we have to go into the widget options and set the movement for each of these elements. So for the first element, I'm going to set the movement to 0.2, the second to 0.4, and the third to 0.6, the fourth to 0.8, and the fifth to 1 right there. Okay, so now if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and I move, it moves just how I would like. All right, because the movement is incrementing for each element, it moves in a good sequence. So one has the most movement to it, and the first one doesn't have much movement to it, and in between, so there's 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and 1. So it has like a really nice sequence parallax effect there. Okay, and then for the background, what I did is I just sampled the red color here from his suit. So I go to Browser Fill, I'll click the drop down, I'll select the sample color tool, and I'll just sample the red there on his suit. All right, looks good. So we're, I think, halfway through the animation. So I'll go to my library panel now, and I'll add the Muse Motion 2 widget. If you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library, and that'll bring up the library panel. So I'll type in Muse Motion 2. I'll click on the Add First here first, just like that, and I'll put it at the top. And then I'll click, hold, and drag the Muse Motion 2, the 2D transformations sequence widget, because I want them to animate in a sequence. And then here I'll open the widget options, and for animation 1, I'll click on, animation 1, I'll say layer 1, animation 2, I'll say layer 2, because we're just assigning the same graphic styles that the elements already have here in the Muse Motion widget. So I'll say layer 3 here, and then animation 4, layer 4, and then animation 5, layer 5. So we're using the same layer or graphic style names from the parallax.js widget, so we can assign Muse Motion 2 animations and parallax animation to the elements on the website. So now I'll go back to animation 1, and for animation 1, I want it to scale, so I want it to get from small to big, and I want the scale to start at 0. So that's fine there, because it's just a small Ant-Man, so he's gonna kind of scale pretty quickly. So we'll start the scale at 0. For the easing option, I'm gonna say power 4, because I like the way that looks there with the power 4 easing. And that's it for that. Then for animation 2, I'm going to start them at a scale. So I'll click, I'm going to set scale. And then for the scale, I'm going to set it to 0.5 because I don't want it to start from the smallest. I want it to start kind of like halfway scaled and then scale to the full amount. And it just gives it kind of a nice feel to it. And then for this one, and we want to go back to animation 2. And I'll say power 4 for the easing option. And then animation 3, I'll set it to scale, I'll check scale, and then I'll say 0.6, I'll set it to 0.6 there, and then for the easing option, I'll say power 4. Okay, then I'll go to animation 4, we'll set it to scale, and we'll set it to 0.7, and then we'll say power 4 for the easing option. And then animation 5, I'll set it to scale, and I'll say 0.8, just like that. 0.4. Okay, animation 4 was 0.7. So we have 0.8 for the fifth animation. So what's going to happen is they're going to fade in and they're going to scale at the same time. So we have this really interesting animation. And then for the time scale, let's preview it now. But I think I'm going to be changing the time scale because it might be a little bit slow. So we see the first one animates, the second one animates, the third one animates, fourth one, and the fifth one, just like that. All right, so that was a bit slow. So I'm going to go into the time scale and I'm going to change it to 4. So it's going to be 4 times as fast, just like that. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there we have it. He's animating in, and we have the parallax motion there. All right, so I'm just going to write some text at the top. I'm going to say Ant-Man, and we're going to change the text to Industry Ink stencil bold, and I'll say 72, center it, and I'll bring this down a little bit. I'll click Align and center. Perfect. And the next thing I want to do is add those play and reverse buttons so we can make them go big and make them go small. So I'm just going to copy this text here. I'll hit Command C to copy and Command V to paste. And then here I'll double click and I'm going to make the text 24 and I'll say go big, just like that. and we'll make this text box a little bit smaller. I'll center it, copy and paste, and I'll say go small, just like that. All right, looks good. And I'll just select these and I'll align and center. So yep, they're already centered there. All right, so now I want to assign graphic style names to these text boxes. Text boxes. So I'll click on go big. I'll go to graphic styles. I'll click on the graphic styles panel, and I'll give it the graphic style name play. Because with the Muse Motion 2 widget, if you go into the widget, we have the play buttons and the graphic style name. So the play button graphic style name is play, and the reverse button graphic style name is reverse, and you can pause it, resume, and restart. But for now, I'm just going to use play and reverse, so we can make them go big and make them go small. So I'll click on go small, and then I'll say reverse for the graphic style name, and then I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser. And there we have the Ant-Man animating, and if I click go small, it goes in reverse. All right, and then I can go big again. All right, looks good. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is bring in the image cursor, because when I hover over these text boxes, they don't change the cursor, and I do want to change the cursor there. So I'll go to my library panel, and I'll say image cursor, type in image cursor, and I'll bring in the image cursor widget. And I'll just say for the graphic style name, I'll say play. So it assigns it to the play graphic style name, which is assigned to this text box here. Then I'll hit Command C to copy and Command V to paste. And just like that, we have another image cursor, and I'll say reverse. So it assigns it to the reverse graphic style name, which is the go small text box here. So we have go big and go small. So now if I go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and I hover my mouse over these elements, yep, just like that. And I think I have to bring, because it kind of covers up a little bit. So I'll bring this down a little bit here, and I'll make the rectangle a little bit smaller, and just move everything up a little bit. There we go. So I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser. And now, if I hover over go big and go small, it turns into a cursor. Okay, looks good. And one more time. There we go, perfect. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is add the ants in the background. So I'll go into my library panel here in Adobe Muse, and I'll type in particles.js widget, and I'll bring in the particles.js 1.2, and I'll bring it over the website, just like that, and then I'll stretch to browser width. And here I'll click on the widget options, and for the container height, I'll say 1000. So for a browser with a lot of height, it covers the entire browser. And then for the particles, I'm going to select here, select an image for shape. I'll click Add File. I'll go to those images, and I have an image of an ant right here. So I'll double click, and I got this image from Google. I just typed in ant PNG, so we get an ant image there. So before we actually add the image, we want to make sure that the particle shape is set to image, so that it uses the image, the ant images. Okay, and then for the opacity, we don't want to change the opacity. The size, I'm going to set it to 10. I think that's a good size for the ants. Yep, we'll set it to 10. I don't want to enable random size. I want them all to be the same size. For the number of particles, I want it to be 20. I don't want too many ants on the page. And then for the line link, I don't want to enable line link. I don't want lines between the ants. For movement, and let me make these smaller here. For movement, right here, right here, I want it to move straight, so I want them to just kind of move in a straight line. The move speed, I want to set it to 1, so it looks like they're crawling on the page, so they're not moving too fast. So I'll set it to 1 there, so they move really slow. And for the move direction, I want to say top, so they move to the top. And that's it. That's it for movement. Interactivity, I don't want any interactivity on hover or on click, so I'll uncheck those. And that's basically it for the ants. So now if I go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, we have those ants crawling on the page. We have Ant-Man getting bigger, and then we have him moving with the parallax.js widget. We can make him go small. Oh, let me send the particles.js to the back, so it doesn't cover up the text there. Okay, there we go. And then you go small, just like that, and goes big. All right, perfect. And there was one other thing. Actually, there's quite a bit of ants there, so I might say for particles, I'll say 10. I don't know if we need that many ants. It didn't look bad with a lot of ants. Or no, we'll leave it at 20. 20 particles there. Okay, and then I have this last Ant-Man shaking, so it gives it more of an animation, like he's ready to do something. So for that, I used the shake widget. So I'll go to my library panel and I'll type in shake, or I could have just typed in shake because it shows up. And then I'll click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. And I'll place it right here. And then for the graphic style name, I'll say, I'll say layer 5. And then for the shake, I'll say shake little, so it looks like it's vibrating. And that's it. So now if we go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, we have Ant-Man getting bigger, and the last one here is shaking, so he's ready to do something. Yeah, and see, there's 2 ants there, so I might do some less ants. Yeah, let me set it to 10 real quick. So we'll set particles, we'll say 10. Okay. All right. I'll preview page in browser. Okay, yeah, that looks good. So we have, just a few ants there. All right, perfect. Okay, so we've used all the widgets. We've used the parallax.js widget. We've used the Muse Motion 2 widget to make Ant-Man grow bigger and smaller. And the parallax.js was for the movement here when you move your mouse. We've used the particles.js widget here in the back for the ants. We've used the shake widget here for Ant-Man, and the image cursor to add pointers here for these text. And also I want to use the font smoother, so that font looks really nice there. So I'll just bring that in, font smoother light, and perfect. And then I'll go to File, that's good. I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and the font just looks a little bit nicer there. Okay, so that's it for this video tutorial. I had a lot of fun creating this tutorial. Again, it's going to be this whole Avengers series, and I'm going to do more animations and cool things with the other characters from the Avengers. So again, to get access to these widgets, you simply go to museforYouShop.com, and then here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to subscribe with PayPal, you can click here and subscribe with PayPal. If you'd like to purchase the widgets individually, you can click on the widget and click add to cart to purchase individually. Or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. So I'll go back here in the widgets. We use the Muse Motion 2 widgets, the parallax.js widget, the particles.js widget. We use the font smoother widget, and the shake widget, and the image cursor widget. Okay, so that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforYouShop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.